Hey everybody, I'm Scott Weichel. You're listening to My Kind of Country right here on Fish Creek Radio. It's always exciting for me to have a gentleman who's familiar with our area up here and has played up here a bunch. And not only that, he's got a fantastic new album out. He's written some of the best songs in country music, and he's worked with some of the very best also, not in just country but in all genres of music. And he does it all. He's an actor. He's been on TV. He sings. He writes. He does just about everything, and I imagine he can walk and chew gum at the same time too. It's my pleasure to welcome Bobby Tomberlin to My Kind of Country. Bobby, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh my, it's my pleasure. I really appreciate your time, and it's always cool to talk to the people in your listening audience.
Well, they certainly love your music, and my show would be shorter by a lot if I didn't have these wonderful songs that you've written to play. That's for sure.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much.
I had a nice conversation with Mo Pitney last week, and we were talking about country that you wrote with Bill Anderson, and that's just a wonderful song.
Thank you so much. I tell you what, Mo is just he is one of my favorite people to work with. He is such a breath of fresh air. I love that he's being true to his roots, the country music, true country music. And I'm just so thankful that we have someone like Mo right now who's bringing some of that back. And thank you for your compliments on country, too. That was the first song that we ever wrote, the first time that Whispering Bill and Mo and I ever sat down together.
Is that right? Well,
yeah.
Man, you had a smash hit there. It's such a great song, and I'm very proud of Mo too. It was funny because a couple years ago I was doing all these different interviews with people like Helen Cornelius, and Bill Anderson, and they're all going, "Have you heard about Mo Pitney? Have you heard about Mo Pitney?" I'm like, "No." So I said, "Well, I guess I better get a hold of this guy before he gets so big he won't want to be on my show." So I did, and a couple weeks ago, I get a phone call, and they said, you were so nice. You had Mo on back when he was first starting out, and he'd like to come on your show and do a feature for his new album. I said, you betcha. So.
Oh, how cool! Well, that's Mo. He's just one of the kindest souls that I've ever met. And it's funny, I'm a staff songwriter at Curb Records Publishing Company, and every week they have a meeting and they bring in new talent, and I won't ever forget it. I guess it's been about 3 or 4 years ago. We were having the meeting, and they said, "Hey, we have this new kid, Mo Pitney," and I didn't know anything about him. And I almost didn't go to the meeting because so often it's just the same old, same old. But I am so glad that I showed up that morning. He actually took out the guitar, played live. He played an old bluegrass song called Freeborn Man. And I said, man, I want to work with this guy. And that's when we set up the appointment with Bill Anderson. And we wrote country probably a couple of weeks after we met.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really cool. Well, yeah, and you guys are label mates too. You have a brand new album out on Curb Records as well, and I've just absolutely fell in love with the songs on here because I love, I pay very close attention to the way that songs are written and who's writing them, and to me, that's what gives music staying power in any kind of music. It's the songs and the meanings. You can change the styles around. You can put different singers in there, but it's the song that does it, and that's what you've done with this album. It's called Out of Road.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't remember a time when music just wasn't the centerpiece of my life. And I was raised on Hank Williams. I was born and raised about 22 miles from where Hank Williams was born and raised. So I was around a lot of the old band members, a lot of his family growing up, and he was a huge influence. And then, of course, people like Merle Haggard and Charlie Pride and George Jones, just so many of the greats. And I would listen to the Grand Ole Opry on Friday and Saturday night. I would listen to my parents' little AM radio and have to turn it sideways and upside down to try to get that WSM signal. So it was just very important for me to do a project and to just be true to my country musical roots. And I'm really appreciative to Curb. Actually, it's the publishing side of their company that supported me, along with a wonderful guy by the name of P.J. West with the Crystal Creek Company. And but it was great doing this project, and it was really special to have people like Mo singing harmony, have Bobby Bear, Bill Anderson, and wonderful artists like those guys.
Oh yeah, you got Linda Davis and Hillary Williams, Sylvia. Yeah, and just a great lineup. And then of course you brought up the Grand Ole Opry, and you wrote a song with that features Vince Gill and Bill Anderson, the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, and like I said, the Opry's just always been so special to me. One of my side jobs before getting songs recorded was sound engineer for Bill Anderson. So when I was doing that gig, I was at the Opry. When we weren't on the road, we were at the Opry. And I made a friendship with people like Little Jimmy Dickens and Jim Ed Brown and Porter Wagoner and a lot of those icons there. And then I've been really blessed to write songs with them, and then of course to get some of them on this project. That's been really a big deal.
Absolutely. And I love the title cut, I've Run Out of Road, and that's you co-wrote that with Mo Pitney and Dean Dillon too.
Yes. We were on it's funny, a songwriting retreat up in Canada, and we had been fishing all day, and we weren't even thinking about writing a song. And it was about 10:30 at night, and Dean and Mo and I just got together playing some old country songs, and next thing you know, we wrote that song, and it just seems like, it's just the perfect song for a title cut for this project.
It's a great song. And then you've got Bobby Bear on there doing the songwriter.
Yeah, and there's a funny story about that. You never know where you're going to get your song ideas, and that's the idea for that song actually came from the cemetery in Montgomery, Alabama. I was driving back to my hometown of Luverne, back to Nashville, and I stopped to pay my respects to Hank Williams Sr. I stopped by his grave, and wouldn't you know, the guy who takes care of the grave, his name is Terry Faust. He's a songwriter. And right there in the cemetery, he pitched me the idea for this song, and he had the song started, actually. And I told him, I said, I'd love to work on this. So I took it back with me to Nashville, and just so happens I was writing with Bobby Bear that week, and I shared it with him, and then we finished it. And I love that song. I love playing that one live. It just always connects with me.
Well, Bobby was on my show few months ago, and he mentioned that song too. How much he really liked that. I had such a great conversation with him. He's such a laid back and great guy to talk to with a fantastic sense of humor, and it was an honor to talk to him. But he did mention that song, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, how cool! Well, he's just one of the most laid back people, and he just enjoys life. And so many artists and writers in this business, it's so easy to get wrapped up and into the business side of things, but I think Bobby has just really handled it well. He's always worked really hard, but then he takes a couple of weeks off every so often, and he goes fishing.
Yeah.
It's actually really, really funny. When we were going to do this, when he was coming in to do his part on this song, we had it scheduled, and the night before, I get a phone call from Bear, and he leaves me a message, and he's like, Bobby, the fish are biting up in Minnesota, man, and I got to go. He said, let's just reschedule it. I'll sing it, but, man, the fish are biting. And I thought, you know what? Good for you. We'll reschedule.
Absolutely.
So we did.
Absolutely. He must do a lot of fishing in Minnesota, because that's exactly what happened with us. I had an interview scheduled with him, and he called and said the same thing, and he called me when he got back. So.
Oh, how funny. How funny.
Might have been the same trip.
It probably was. But I've heard he's always been like that. And I admire that. I really do. So
Absolutely.
Good for him.
Absolutely.
Good for him.
Well, Bobby, there's a song that I've loved ever since it came out. That of course was a big #1 hit for Diamond Rio, and it's again another one of those songs that it really makes you. It's a song that I can visualize, if this makes sense. I can close my eyes and picture the story unfolding. And when a song does that to me, it really touches me. And you've done your own version of this on your new album, and it's called One More Day.
Yeah, I co-wrote that song with a buddy of mine, Stephen Dale Jones. And I'll tell you a little quick story about that song. I wasn't even thinking of writing a song. It was during the holiday season several years ago. And I just started thinking about people who were no longer in my life. And the next thing you know, that first verse just kind of fell out. And the next day I was getting with Stephen Dell Jones, and I had known Stephen from my days in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. He was a loan officer at a bank, and I worked at the radio station there. We used to dream and talk about going to Nashville. But anyway, I shared the first verse of One More Day with him, and he totally connected with it. And then we finished it. And that's been probably the biggest blessing for me, because that, not because of having a number one song or getting like Grammy nominations. That was great. But the real reward and award is when people come up and tell me, how much the song has helped them heal, and how it's been used for memorial services and things like that.
Yeah, it's a powerful song. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And this album, folks, again, is called Out of Road, and it's available at BobbyTomberlinMusic.com. We'll put that information on our Facebook page, and you can also get it at Amazon, and it's featured on the Hot List on iTunes, and you can pick it up there as well. And all the usual suspects, the Ernest Tubb Record Shop will have it, and I understand you're going to have a record release gathering there on December 4th.
Yeah, that's right. So excited about that, too, because that was a big part of my childhood, too. I actually ordered records from the Ernest Tubb Record Shop. I would get that magazine, and I would sit there and look at it for hours.
Me too.
And then the Midnight Jamboree, I would listen to that. My folks, they would be like, hey, all right, go to bed. And I would sneak that little radio in my room and listen to Ernest Tubb and the Midnight Jamboree.
Yep, me too. That's fantastic.
I love it.
Well, it's a powerful album, and there was a gentleman that I was kind of surprised to see his name show up, because I haven't heard anything from him for quite a while, and that's Mac Davis.
Yeah, what's funny, Mac actually has just bought property outside of Nashville in Leapersfort, Tennessee. He has been living in the Los Angeles area for years, I think since the late 60s, and then in recent years he's been coming to Nashville on occasion to do the Bluebird. And he went out there and wrote with, I think it was Alan Shamblin, and he just fell in love with the community, and he and his wife bought property there, and now they're living there half of the year, and he's loving it. And that actually was the last song written for the project, because Mac was another huge influence on me. The first time that I was aware of songwriting was watching his show. You remember on his show how he would take an idea from an audience member and then write a song.
Oh, yeah.
For the moment. Well, that was my introduction to songwriting. And anyway, I've known Mac now for about 10 years, and just was really, really happy to finish a song that worked for this project.
That's incredible. Well, I was glad to see his name there. I've always been a big fan of his, and of course, Sylvia, you guys did a beautiful song called "A Right Turn."
Yeah, she is just one of the sweetest souls that you'll ever meet, and I'm so proud for her. She's actually just made a new record.
Yep.
I don't know, have you heard it yet?
I have, and I've had her on my show too. Absolutely.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Great. It's just such a special project, and she was a co-writer on, I think, on like 9 of the songs on the project, and it's doing really well. And she took off for numerous years, and now it's like she's just been welcomed back. She's been doing so many TV shows. She's been touring. And anyway, I'm just really proud for her. And I'm also really, thankful that she, came in and sang harmony on this song.
You bet. You bet. Well, I will use up all the time in our interview if I go down the list of people that have recorded your songs. But I do want to talk about, you were on the Singing Bee on CMT for quite a few years, I think, weren't you?
Yeah, we did 5 seasons, 50 episodes, and I was part of the band and the singers, the Beehive, that's what they called us. And
yeah.
Melissa Peterman was the host, and that was just really a joy. That's actually when I really started getting more of a fan base. It was funny because I wasn't singing my songs. I was singing Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, but people connected because I think they just love that traditional country sound. And at that point, I started doing more and more shows, and that just led to doing things like this project.
Sure. Absolutely. And then next year you have a movie coming out with Chris Christopherson.
That's right. I'm telling you, talk about something just coming out of the blue. A little over a year ago, my friend Steven Dorff, who's a great actor, he's been in like over 50 films. He was in the movie Blade with Wesley Snipes. He's been in movies with Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. He was in Public Enemies with Johnny Depp. Well, anyway, he called me and he says, "Man, I've been writing songs, and I would love to introduce these songs, in a film." And he had a great idea about this character who comes to Nashville from Texas. But there's more to the story than that. I mean, there's quite a story, a lot of twists and turns, and this film is going to be coming out, it looks like, in February. And the name of the film is Wheeler. And Chris Christopherson's in the film, and there's just some great country music in there. And it's I think, so close to the journey, that someone takes to going to Nashville just trying to get their songs heard. I think we were really true to the journey that one takes, and I'm really anxious for you to see this film.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely. Well, keep an eye on BobbyTomberlinMusic.com. You can get the new album Out of Road, and you can check out where Bobby's going to be appearing. You've been busy, man. You've got a lot of tour dates out there, and you're just a busy guy.
It has been a busy year. I'm actually on the highway right now on I-65 headed back to Nashville. A buddy of mine, Bill LaBounty, he and I were at the Frank Brown Songwriter Festival. Dean Dillon was there and a lot of great writers and artists. And we're headed back to Nashville right now. Bill, actually, I bet you play a lot of his music. He wrote I Want to Be Loved Like That.
Yeah.
For Shenandoah. He wrote The Weekend for Steve Wariner and has had numerous hit records.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're heading back to Nashville.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm so proud to be able to feature this album. We're going to be playing it a lot. I know there's songs we didn't get a chance to talk about, but there's some great stuff on there. Damn This Memory, Looking for Audrey. The two with Mo Pitney are great. So Wherever She Is and Lightning in a Bottle. And folks, if you love country music and well-written country music, you will want to pick up this album. It's fantastic music and some great people along with Bobby on this album, not only songwriters but performers. And it's BobbyTomberlin.net. And please go pick it up, and you're going to be hearing lots of it on our show. And Bobby, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and visit with me today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Hey, listen, the pleasure is mine, Scott. I really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you sharing the music.
All right. Well, I have a tradition on my show when I am my interviews. I like to have the artist pick the next song that we're going to play from your album. So I'm going to let you pick the one we're going to play. How's that?
All right. I'm just trying to think, okay, which one? The one I'd love for you to play, Looking for Audrey, because I talked a minute ago about Hank Williams and what an influence he had on me. Well, this song is a tribute to the love that was shared between Hank and Audrey. So many people talk about Audrey, and they talk about, how they fought all the time, and, you hear a lot of negative things. But, I was raised around a lot of the family, and I know for a fact that Hank really, really loved her. And if it weren't for her, I don't know that he would have ever left Alabama and, made it to Nashville. And I'm just really proud of this song. I co-wrote this with Bill White and Linda Davis. And on this cut, Hank Sr. and Audrey's granddaughter, Hillary Williams, is singing on it.
Oh, that's
great.
Great.
Also, and Linda's doing some harmony too. So, Looking for Audrey.
All right. Well, we're going to play that for you right now. It is off the album for Bobby Tomberlin, Out of Road, BobbyTomberlinMusic.com. Bobby, thanks so much for being on My Kind of Country. I hope you'll come back and visit with us sometime, and I hope to get to see you up here. I hope to get to see you up here next time you're in Michigan too.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Bobby.